I mean, up until now, I've literally been pulling examples out of my ass, which I still have fun, and I don't know what's gonna come out ever. My own AI generator located in my ass.
It's behavior, bitches.
Hey guys, it's Liat. Welcome back to today's episode of Behavior Bitches Podcast. Today is going to be a great one and something that I think a lot of you guys are probably talking about or engaging with these days as part of the topic. But before we get started, and I'm going to keep it short because my dad gave me the feedback that he's so sick of hearing the reviews at the beginning of the podcast. Sorry, Dad. Also, some of the podcasts you probably shouldn't be listening to. But anyways, we're only going to give a short review of the day. So we have one coming in hot from Louisa, and this looks like it came on Spotify. Thank you, Liat, for making things real for all of us. That's it. Hope that's okay with you, Dad. Thank you, Louisa, for the feedback, and everyone else go leave a 5-star review. I live for it. Our guest today, I'm going to give an intro, and then we didn't really have a fun segment specifically organized on here. So I just wrote my own question that I had that popped up in my head. So here we go. Our guest today is Mellanie Page. She is the founder and CEO of the ABA Collective, a platform designed to support behavior analysts and entrepreneurs ready to step outside the box. With a specialized focus in organizational behavior management, also known as OBM, online business strategy, and clinical entrepreneurship, Mellanie is on a mission to help BCBAs turn their passion into purpose-driven programs that create real impact. Whether she's teaching OBM consulting strategies or helping BCBAs launch digital offers, Mellanie is passionate about creating pathways to work-life harmony and long-term success for those who want more than just the one-on-one grind. Welcome to the show, Mellanie.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Appreciate it.
I'm stoked to have you here, and this is very cool what you're up to these days. And my one question I wanted to have, because I know that you've done a lot of CEUs, and also, guys, Mellanie has also, I mean, I've heard so many good things from Jordan, who runs our CEU department at Study Notes ABA, like Mellanie Page. I feel like it's consistently coming up. And so I'm so happy that we're finally meeting here. And one of the topics that I know that you taught a CEU on our Study Notes website, it was how to use ChatGPT in ABA therapy. So that means that you're on trend with ChatGPT. You also are in love with I don't know if you consider yours a male or female, but I'm like in love with him.
I have a him too, and I am in love, and that's the first time I'm on trend on anything.
I
So
mean, you can't not. I mean, like, right?
yeah, yeah.
I want to know. This is my fun segment that I made up on the spot. What is the best prompt that you feel you have used that was like, oh my God, this is incredible? It doesn't have to be work related. It can be personal life, whatever it is.
Yeah. So I have lots of what I call lazy prompts. So I don't cook. I don't want to cook. I don't want to learn how to cook. So I use prompting to basically feed me what I should eat every day. And it doesn't require me lifting a finger. I also have lazy mom prompts that are like, what can I do with my kids? I give it an example. One game that I made up was like, what's on my butt? So I can lay on my belly and my kids can like put stuff on my butt and I have to guess what it is so that I can just lay there. And so
That's
I give it an
brilliant.
example. And then I'm like, give me other ideas like this, because this is the kind of parenting that I'm up to. So yeah, I would just say like anything preferential, like anything that you enjoy, ChatGPT can make it about you. So people that are getting generic prompts, I think, are just not have generic outputs or not having really strong prompting. And so that's part of what I've kind of learned is once it gets to know me, I get what I want from it. So it's
And
been
it's,
great.
I just saw something pop up on my Instagram, and I'm not going to say the exact number, but it was like apparently it was like 70% of Gen Zs are would be willing to date an AI. I kind of get it. I used to would have been like, these people are nuts. I kind of get it. Like, I've never been so seen in my life.
Yeah, especially if you like are just craving connection. I feel like it remembers things about you, which is like already a
Not
step
only that,
ahead.
it knows the next step. It's like,
Yes.
it was like, yes, I was actually asking for that. And of course, why not make it into an entire manual for me? Thank you.
It's amazing.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. I'll tell you my prompt that I did. Let me see if I pull it up here.
Please.
Said, "Based on what you know about me." Well, first of all, there's 2 that were fun. The one, "Based on what you know about me, roast me and do not hold back." That
Love
one, you
it.
have to be careful, you have to be have balls of
Thick
steel
skin.
ready to take it. Mine was actually very nice. I have to tell you, Julia, who I work with, it was, like, so rude. So, like, she's kind of in a
Mm.
fight with her, ChatGPT, but mine and then this one was also kinda crazy. Hold on, where are my notes? I have 0 organization on my phone, let's see. "Based on what you know about me, what do I need in a partner in a relationship?"
Ooh, what did it say?
Okay, I'll go through it quickly. "You need a partner who is quick, mentally sharp, emotionally agile, and able to keep up with your energy and pace. Solution oriented. When challenges pop up, they ask, 'What's the move?' Not 'What do we do?'" Wrote it like that. "Confident in decision making. They don't get paralyzed or lean on you to make every call. Someone you respect. You admire how they think, act, and move through the world. Not slow or unsure. Indecision is a no. You need clarity, no hesitation. Doesn't get in your way. They enhance your momentum, not block it. Proud to be with you. They see your fire and they're honored to stand beside it. Gets you. Emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, there's an unspoken understanding. Quick, again, because it matters that much."
Better be quick. Sounds
I
like it
I
better be quick.
literally I'm like, "How do you know?" I'm like, I really actually don't use mine like a diary for, like, things like that, but it's like, I guess I mean, here and there I'll ask things, but it's just wild.
Yeah. I mean, when you're thinking about like behavior analysis too and all of the connections of how AI works, it's pretty much behavior analysis. It's taking that big data set and it's learning and it's generalizing. So, like anything you've said, it's now generalizing to a relationship, right? And just understanding some of those behavior patterns, which I think is amazing. And sometimes we can't even do it for ourselves or like articulate it very well, right? And so
Like,
I think it's
yeah,
cool.
I was listening to some podcast, it was on, like, prompt engineering, right? Like a AI podcast or something, and, they're basically it's literally straight up reinforcement and punishment and, like, shaping of behaviors. You're like,
Exactly.
"Wow, that is exactly it. I love it. I want more of that with this," and it's like but it's like reinforcement that you get to see so quickly, like, in the moment.
So good. Yeah.
It's
It's amazing.
incredible. Enough about my dating prompts. I want you to tell us who you are. If you could describe who you are and what you do in 3 words. This might be hard. If you don't like this prompt, we can move along. You could just you could also train me like a GPT. How would you
Yeah,
describe what you do and
sure. I would say innovator and ABA reimagined. So, entrepreneurship, anything kind of in that realm. I'm really interested in helping BCBAs kind of move past this box, this conditioning that we've been experiencing for, I think, decades now, and just try something new. And so, that applies to AI, it applies to entrepreneurship, it applies to even shifting your career or side hustle or pivoting however you feel meets your needs and your goals.
um,
That wasn't 3
no, that's
words, but
fine. It's like we get the idea of 3. I liked it. How did you find ABA? How did you get into ABA?
yeah, I think it's the same kind of boring story everyone else has where, I took an accidental course and I loved psychology, but I wanted it to be more scientific. Like I wasn't, it's probably trauma at this point if I look back, but I just wasn't very like emotional as a person. And the therapy route didn't sit with me super well. And so I wanted a science that felt more like more concrete. And so found it through classes, started an internship doing direct care, no RBT at the time, and just evolved into behavior analysis and became a BCBA, started working and climbing the clinical ladder, and then really discovered what I think every BCBA is like finally discovering that behavior is everywhere and you can do essentially whatever you want with it within scope and in an ethical realm, right? But just found different ways to leverage that expertise. Got my MBA and kind of moved on into business from there.
Alright, so I've actually I wanna hear about getting your MBA because I've actually, like I did not intend ever on starting a business. That was not my I mean, like, now in hindsight, when I look at different things, all I had was different businesses my whole life, like, doing different things no matter what. I was painting sidewalk numbers, selling everything on anything on Etsy, like, just different things, but I never, like, actually had, like, a formal, business background. So, obviously, I've learned a lot of stuff through, like, reinforcement and punishment. I always say, like, one of my best examples is the $12,000 of socks that we ordered that say "Pass the fucking test," but they're all upside down. You can only read them if someone's laying on their stomach. We still like, little things like that. You
Yeah,
learn these things
yeah.
along the way. And so I've actually been like, "Wait, maybe it would benefit me so much getting my MBA." And then I was like, "With what time?" So then I tell Martha, I'm like, "Martha, we need you to get your MBA." I tell her that.
Martha, don't do it. Don't do it, Martha.
Don't do it?
It's not good. Yeah. I mean, I loved my program, so I can't hate on it too bad, but I think there's like a really big difference that people haven't really articulated between business and entrepreneurship. And like what I wanted and what you're describing was entrepreneurship. And it's just a totally different realm. I think an MBA prepares you for like corporate and the suit and the financial modeling and just the really like layered businessy approach. And for me, like I wanted to take risk. Like I'm not very risk averse. I wanted to try new things. I wanted to innovate, and there wasn't a course for that. It was money that I probably should have invested in building my business faster and just accelerating my growth there. And so
Oh, that's
maybe that's
interesting.
unpopular, but
Like, what
yeah,
like,
I
so,
wrote it.
like, what kind of things I actually have, like, talked to ChatGPT for a while, like, at one point about it. Like, what things did you take away there that, like is it more like, I mean, look, I don't really the way I work is I kinda take a leaf on something and be like, "Alright, are we gonna do this?"
Intuition.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
like, it's
I
much more
think for
planning, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I think it's much more planning. And I think you're building a business in a market and an industry that's like predictable and has a history of data to reflect on and to make decisions on. And I just think in ABA, if you're choosing to be in that space, you're kind of living in just such a new world that you can create it. And so I felt very much like the concepts and principles, they align foundationally, but I think also like entrepreneurship is a little bit of touch and go, like try something new and learn by consequences, reinforcement, punishment, $12,000 upside down socks.
I literally
So
that's always my thing. I'm like and we still have them. I don't know, I'm, like, connected to them somehow, and they're, like, still in these boxes, and they've moved from, like, location to location. But, like, I need to, like, donate them somewhere. The thing I need to figure it out, but so now you're an OBA practitioner. I'm sorry, did I say ABA or OBM? Did I say OBM?
you said OBA,
It was a
which,
mix.
you
It
know,
was a mix. It was like
works. It was mixed. It
you could do
was.
ABA, but OBM too. What does this look like? And, like, where are you inserting yourself to utilize this, like, OBM background? I mean, I OBM always
Yeah.
fascinated me too, so I'm very interested.
Yeah, and I would say like I've pivoted a lot into online business because of all the questions I got about OBM. And so it's kind of an interesting path or evolution, but started with people asking like, okay, I've got the letters, like what degree do I get and what credentials do I get? I just again, I think we're just conditioned to think like education equals advancement equals like progression and for OBM it's the same thing. Like nobody knows or cares what those letters mean in the business world. So you can leverage them if you want to work with other ABA organizations or, in lateral kind of industries, but it's not as popular elsewhere. And so I think people have to start thinking about OBM as skills that they want to develop toward a problem they want to solve. So like in OBM, there's like a million specialties, right? And so to say like you have an OBM degree, like that's very helpful. You'll understand the systems, the technical terms, all of that. But where do you want to end up and what problem do you actually want to solve day in and day out? And once you know that, it's like, what skills are you then missing in order to translate the science you already know, which I think is what people kind of get lost in. And then they get overwhelmed because it isn't a clear path if you're just thinking about all of it, right?
So,
So
what are some examples of, like, more, like, the realms in OBM that you could go into?
Yeah, I mean, leadership is where I started. So I started thinking about, well, how do I shape behavior in this other industry with leaders who are working in a different environment than what I'm used to? And I started learning the skills to work with those people, to build trust, to manage change in a very like strategic way. And then that evolved into training and development. You can move into change management as its own like specialty, company culture. They're just like, I would say, I think of it as problems. Like I think of every organization has what problems and which ones kind of light you up. Like, you hear the problem and instead of getting overwhelmed, you're like, oh, let's think about all the components of it and like
Totally.
what touches what. That's like the problem that I think can excite you and get you interested in learning how to then translate ABA, right? And so I think people overthink like the OBM title and they get lost in that path.
That's interesting because, like, maybe you're obsessed with, like, sales, right? And you're like
Yeah.
or, like, marketing. You're like, "Of course no one's coming in for this." Like, look at like, you see that problem, and then you can make it behavioral. Like, the response effort to get to the product is so high and things like
Exactly.
that. And something that you said, and I've touched on this definitely in a few podcasts, which I think is just because I mean, I guess because we have this platform here talking about ABA, so it's like, "Oh, let me go ask them questions." And one of the most common question things I get is like, "What else can I do with my BCBA?" I feel like I say this on every podcast, like, if I could get, like, a
Yeah.
collection of me saying it over and over, and, like, it comes up consistently of, like, no one cares about the BCBA title outside of insurance that you're billing for autism services. That's, like
100%.
that
Yeah,
is something that,
100%.
feel like, "Well, then why the hell did I get it?" It's not that, I mean, you still have learned a shitload about behavior, you just have to be able to generalize and understand that, like, that title is needed for one specific part of it. It's more understanding your skills that you have as a result
Mhm.
of being a behaviorist and understanding it.
And I think that's why, like, the more narrow people can get about what they want to actually do, the more obvious it will become. Like, how do I generalize this? What skills do I have to acquire? I mean, if we don't understand like a terminal outcome for a client, we can't create programs, right? And so people are like, well, what do I do? What path do I take? What should I learn? It's like, well, where do you want to end up? And like, what do you actually want to be doing every day? Then the skills are just obvious from there. If I want to be able to have conversations, if I want to teach leadership, if I want to change company culture, like what am I missing now to translate the science I already know? And agreed, like nobody cares if you're a BCBA or not. In some cases, I'm not even sure that I knew certain people didn't have a BCBA that talk about behavior all the time and behavior change and OBM and all the things. So,
In fact, to me, it seems like, I love reading a lot of these, like, behavioral economics books and things like that. They're definitely not BCBAs, and it almost it consistently seems to be a problem about our own marketing in our field that,
mhm,
like, people are listening to these big behavioral scientists who aren't BCBAs. They may be talking about the exact same things as us using different lingo, but,
they're better marketers.
oh,
Yeah.
like, yes. That's what it comes
Yeah.
down to.
I think of that when I read Atomic Habits. I'm like,
Oh,
I could have written this like 10 years ago, and it's just like behavior science, right? But one, it's simplified, which our industry hates to do. They love like jargon. And two, it's marketed well and it's addressing a problem instead of just talking about the technical terms and, the scientific terminology. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
totally.
It's behavior bitches.
Hey guys, it's your favorite bitch, Liat here. Are you stressing about taking the BCBA or BCABA exam? Feeling like you don't know where to start? You got into this field, you're worried your program didn't prepare you so much, you're wondering how you're going to get through grad school, then let alone take this test? Well, let me take that stress on for you. Over here at Study Notes ABA, this is what we do. We eat, breathe, sleep, thinking about the BCBA exam. I've been carrying around my Cooper book for the last 8 years so that you can chill. If you're getting ready to study and wondering what you could be doing, sign up for our live collective. It's 12 weeks, which is done over 24 classes. We meet twice a week. It's taught from actual BCBAs who have been there in your shoes studying for the exam. We make everything relatable, funny. You are actually going to enjoy the study process. And hold me to that. If you're not enjoying it, let me know. I'll be shocked. You get a study group, people who are studying the exact same thing, shared adversity. You could ask all your questions, and we take all the notes with you. You are going to have the most beautiful doodles by the end, and your Cooper book will seem way less scary. Are you worried about payment plans? We've got that too. We get what it's like being an RBT in the field. So stop stressing, start getting ready to pass the test, and go to studynotesaba.com/collectives, and we have it all there laid out beautifully for you. All right, now it's time for AI. I want to get into AI. I want to talk about it. And I feel like everywhere I go, whether I'm at like a Shabbat dinner with like family friends, or like I went to go meet like someone new for a lunch the other day who like we're going to be in Tel Aviv at the same time this summer. So we were like, oh, we should meet so we could like hang out there, whatever. Every conversation I feel like is about ChatGPT and AI. Like no matter
Yeah.
what the topic is. Like it was like one second I was talking about, she's like, well, do you think you'd want more kids? And I was like, honestly, like I can't imagine. Yes, but at the same time, like being pregnant was horrible. She's like, "Ugh, you know, they're like literally like making babies now, like inside of like
It's
everything, no
wild.
matter what it is, it comes down to AI. Then we're talking about
It always
business,
goes back. Yeah.
everything. So I want to talk about why behavior analysts should care about AI and ChatGPT.
I think the funny thing is I think that they do, right? I'm doing a workshop tomorrow actually, and there's over 5,000 people signed up. And people are just curious. Like they're just curious about how to use it, how to leverage it, how to apply it. I think it's also like a strengthened MO because people are burnt out. So they're like, how do I leverage technology to make my life easier? So I think like the two most socially significant use cases, I think, are on the administrative side. Like, how do we lessen some of the work that BCBAs aren't uniquely qualified to do, but they're stuck doing because that's just the nature of the environment
Right.
in which we work? And two, like the clinical enhancement. And people get all nervous and weird when we talk about AI helping support clinical decision making and how to progress treatment. But even something as simple as being able to individualize a program or an activity or a stimuli to a client in a way that we've never been able to access before. I'm printing things on Google Images and like cutting them out and like laminating them when I could literally create an image of the child themselves playing with their very unique preference, right? I make a joke in the workshop. Like, I had a client who loved chicken nuggets and like portable fans. And where am I going to find a picture where someone can like resonate, right, with their own stimuli? On ChatGPT, I can make it in 30 seconds, right? There's the kid, looks just like the client with chicken nuggets and a portable fan. And that is like seemingly insignificant, but
But
for
no,
treatment, it's wild. Yeah, it's wild.
that's it's I feel like I have not messed around with like the imagery stuff as much, except for like obviously like the little trends of like when I was a Barbie or
Yeah.
like but it's so crazy. I mean, when you think about like when I used to make these the stimuli of being like, okay, we really want the kids to be able to generalize. I need to get 5 different types of bikes. I need to
Hmm.
get one that's a cartoon like bike, one that's, you know, has training wheels, one that it will just do it all for you.
And you think of like the time too that it takes. I mean, you're in supervision, what, once a week, once or twice a week. The client masters something the day after you leave, and then you've got to wait a week, discover that you've got to go print and laminate stuff, come back, and then bring back your stimuli. I mean, the accessibility and the way that we're addressing resource constraints with AI is just incredible. I mean, and there are people that are scared to death of it. We had threats about the workshop, people going to the BACB about the ethics code, and just confused about why we would be talking about it. But that's where we're moving.
But like
And
if you
that's,
don't talk
yeah,
about it, it's kind of one of those things where it's like if you don't get on with this, like you are going to be left behind.
way behind. Yeah, way behind. And I think that's like the difference now that people are starting to see is AI is going to expose really mediocre clinicians because it's going to do your job for you because you're not doing it yourself. And for those that want to leverage it, they're going to start creating this like chasm between, clinicians who are stuck in old ways and clinicians who are willing to embrace it in the right way, right? I think that's the disclaimer people get nervous about, is like, you can do whatever on AI and you can share all your clients' information and all this privacy. And no, you don't have to. It's the same way you can leverage any tool for good or evil, right? And so you've got to be smart.
And not only that, like, let's be real. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times I've worked somewhere, I've been reading a client's this is, like, before AI, right? Like, I'm reading someone's client's program, and it's like, "Okay, Johnny is working on tacting. He will be able to tack 10 items, blah, blah, blah. We're gonna reinforce him on a VR3 schedule. Johnny, blah, 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 blah. And when Alex does this, he will be reinforced." And it's like, okay, that's clear proof that you obviously just copy and pasted someone else's plan anyways. You left Alex's name in there. Like,
100%.
let's be real.
Yeah.
This is happening all the time. We're trying to, like, save ourselves time. So people are like, "Ugh, this actually could be more customized," right? So you're not putting, like, Alex's
Faster.
tacting program for Johnny. Now it's at least customized, so it's like, what were you complaining about before this? Because it was likely worse. Like, I mean, how many times
Yeah.
have you seen that? Let's be honest. I mean, all of us have, like,
All the
recycled
time.
programs.
Yeah, yeah. It's just a false pedestal I think people put themselves on. I think part of it is fear and part of it is like control. Like, I want to be the clinician with the expertise who makes all the decisions, and you can leverage AI to the extent that you feel comfortable, and it still will save you time and it still will make a difference without needing to go, completely on the other side of the continuum, right? So,
Well, I think there's something also that, like, I could see as, like, a lot of it could get you started, at least. I mean, maybe as AI gets further, like, I definitely see things, especially, like, in the test prep space, like, sometimes I'm like, "Whoa, that's a great way of teaching that," like, I'll look at different things, but I do like,
mhm.
I have enough of an understanding of the test prep, hopefully. I mean, I've been studying literally for the last 9 years for this exam that I'm like, "Okay, but that part is wrong," right? But it gets me on a great start of, like, I don't have to start the idea from scratch.
Yeah,
And
and even just organizing ideas, like ADHD here, like, I just need somebody to take all of my creative thoughts and then just rework them, reword them, organize them, and let me continue working on what I do best, and so it's just like delegating some of those things that we're weaker at, and it's incredible.
it really I mean, sometimes I have to tell you that with my ADD, it actually I feel I almost get, like, overwhelmed because it could do so much that, like, I wanna do all of it, and now it's like, "Oh my god, I have." Like, I was like, we'd have these meetings for so long. "Okay, this is gonna be our rollout plan for when the next collective comes out. This is how we're gonna do it. It's gonna be this. Should it be this many weeks? Should it be this?" It could write it for you, right? And then it's like, "Also, would you like me to write your emails for you too that are gonna be, like, your promo emails?" It's like, Why, yes. Yeah, I would." And we could already put them on Canva. Okay, well, thanks. My brain wasn't even there yet. And you know what? Here's some social, post. And it's like and then I get, like, kind of overwhelmed because I have so much stuff,
Yes.
and I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah,
like, how am I actually gonna
yeah.
deliver this to people?" So, like, sometimes I'm a little overwhelmed, and then I was like I mean, I just, like, think about things. Like, when I built the Study Notes ABA Instagram account, the way it went viral was because people were like, "Oh my god, this is so funny. This is" and, that was, like, stuff from my brain.
Mhm.
But now it's like, I spent that but I still think that you could be creative with it. It could just give
Yeah.
you, like, a start on something.
Totally. And even if it's just, yeah, that prompt that you need to get something going, and then you leverage your own creativity and your ideas, and even just like changing the way that you teach into frameworks and ways that people can access and understand information, it can still retain and protect your energy for the things that you actually want to use your own expertise on, right? And so, yeah, I hear you. I have random ChatGPT chats about every thought that comes to my brain, which is
Yeah, and
no
I'm
one
like I'm
wants
like,
to know.
"Hold that thought. I still like what we were, but anyways, here's all my new skincare products I bought. Can you make me a schedule of how to use them?"
Exactly.
Hold that
Exactly.
marketing plan while we're at it.
Awesome.
It's just incredible. But so as you were saying, you did mention ethical concerns, right?
Mhm.
There's ethical concerns, which obviously is valid anywhere, but also there's always gonna be people who are, like, literally looking to shut anything down due to this. like going out of their way.
That's how you know it's, like, disruptive and innovative though, right? And the people that are using it right and take the measures to learn, like, how can I help enhance treatment without AI replacing my job, are doing it, and they're doing it really well. And to your point, like, it's just gonna create this contrast because people, I think there's just a lot of like fear mongering too about new things, just in general in the world, but especially in like clinical fields and dare I say like ABA, especially because people are just worried. They're worried that they're going to be replaced, that clinical quality is going to be diminished, and it is a risk. Right? If everyone just started saying, "Hey, ChatGPT, create this client's program. Here's like 3 pieces of information about them," then yeah, we're gonna have really crappy diluted care. But do I have like more hopes for our field than that? Yeah, hopefully. And if not, then like we don't belong in the kind of service we're doing.
When I was looking at it, I was like, obviously, I think everyone has, I mean, and if you haven't, wow, like taken a second and like looked at whatever you're doing, your role, right? I'm like, okay, I'm doing test prep, I'm teaching this, right? Like, is that going to be necessary when is taking over these different things, right? So, like,
Mhm.
you're kind of asking these questions no matter what you do. Like, my sister's, like a marketing consultant, big company to big company. Like, are they still going to want that? Everyone's kind of asking that question of like, and like
It's
someone who's,
legitimate. Yeah.
and I don't know if if this is me like trying to make myself still seem valuable or not, but I'm like, there's certain things where I'm like, I love it, right? It could like sometimes, like if I'm like, give me another scenario that I could use here that like when I'm teaching this. I mean, up until now, I've literally been pulling examples out of my ass, which I still have fun and I don't know what's going to come out ever. But uh,
Yeah.
my own AI generator located in my ass. Um, but I still do think there's certain things like whether it's ABA therapy and like I'm saying like teaching that there is something that does come from the human component. So what do I mean by that? Like, I was teaching one class. I was teaching about automatic reinforcement, right? Like, automatic versus socially mediated, right? So I'm teaching it in the class, and then in the Zoom chat, someone sends me something that is clearly from ChatGPT because it had, like, the bold and the bullets and the you know, the emojis, the rocket emoji, and he's telling me
Yeah.
this. I'm teaching automatic versus, socially mediated, and the next thing he's putting in this definition, and it's like it's basically the principle of automaticity of reinforcement, and automaticity of reinforcement is different than automatic reinforcement, right? Automatic reinforcement is reinforcement we could provide ourselves. For anyone studying, listen up. Automaticity of reinforcement is the idea that you don't have to know reinforcement is happening for you to continue to do something. Like, maybe, like, just the sole example of you getting over a puddle. If there's a puddle, you walking over to the other side, no one has to cheer you on. Just the fact that you got over there dry is automaticity of reinforcement. Anyway, so this person's putting this thing in the chat to me, right? And, like, almost like in, like, a argument way of being like, "Well, this is what ChatGPT says." And I'm like, "Listen, I want you to know, like, I think ChatGPT is incredible too. However, like, right there, for example, we're talking about different principles, right? You have to like
Yeah.
it can error, and if you're not strong enough in the content yet, you have to be careful. So then this person,
Mhm.
this is like, by the way, all going on like as I'm like trying to like get through class, like someone's doing this on the side. Obviously, like their camera's off, and like I'm like talking to their chat, and so I'm like, trust me, I think it's great too. And then he's like, tells me, well, ChatGPT got like a 98% on the exam or something. And I was
Hmm.
like, "Well, I would hope so." Right? Right? Like,
Yeah.
and he has access to the entire like, everything on the internet, and I was like, the same way that the Cooper book hopefully could get 100% on the exam, right?
Mhm.
Everything is
Yeah.
in there, right? But it's the idea that, like, so these things are available, but, like, I mean, this is maybe me talking myself into being like, why I think that what I'm doing could still be valuable, right? Like, the content's out there. I didn't invent, like, these principles on reinforcement, punishment, extinction,
Mhm.
MOs, but I'm gonna, like, bring it to you in a way that you're going to remember it and, like, engage with it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and there's nuance and context that ChatGPT and AI are not great at yet, right? Because it's just learning from the masses of data and it's iterative, but it doesn't mean that it's perfect and it can't interpret these nuanced situations. It's like here's one term versus another, but there's also like a lot of scenario-based learning that it doesn't apply correctly. And so that's where that like
Well,
clinical
but that
judgment
that's
I think
that's
is
also kind of
yeah.
what I like, I mean, unless I'm, like, also, like, just in my head, you could tell me. Like, in ABA, I'm like, the importance of also having a human there implementing it, right? Like, you could,
Mhm.
like, utilize it for the program, so you're not spending all these hours that are, like, indirect hours that are but I like to think that, like, hey, like, sometimes, especially with behavior, you might need to, like, block a response. You might need to, like, really engage, like, be closer in proximity to someone to provide stimulus or response
Yeah.
prompts.
There's still, like, decision making and a hierarchy of all these ideas and thoughts that you're running through that are based on your experience, your learning history, and that's gonna be unique, and it's gonna include your personality and your strengths too, and so, yeah, it's just different than depending on it for these, like, rote responses, which, yeah, I think it's a starting point, to your point, and then I think you build on it and enhance it, and that's where I think our value will always be intact in that way, and if people can, like, be secure and confident in that understanding, they'll embrace it in the ways that it's meant to be leveraged, right?
Thank you. Sorry, this coffee I've been waiting for. Look at this.
It's
This is the
awesome.
best
It's okay.
best coffee place ever. I love you. Thank you so much. Sorry. Pause.
It's okay.
This place, La La Land, their coffee is like
Really good.
it tastes almost like you're drinking like a Haagen-Dazs, like, coffee flavored ice cream. Oh my god. Okay. So I know you've spoken about marketing through a behavioral lens.
Mhm.
Marketing through a behavioral lens. What does this really mean?
Yeah, I think it's like you were talking about earlier, where we just have to be more thoughtful about how we're applying the science. For me, marketing is motivating consumer behavior. So, how do I get you to build momentum, increase your yeses toward bigger yeses, and then ultimately make a sale, right? Or whatever your ultimate desired behavior is. And so, I've been talking a lot about marketing because I'm working with clinicians who are burnt out, want to start online businesses, want to package and leverage their clinical expertise, but they think marketing is just this whole other industry to learn. And the underlying like science is really behavior analysis, and that's where I've been trying to shape their understanding and learning and experience to apply to marketing. And that's where we talk about funnels, and funnels are essentially it's behavior momentum, right? I'm going to get you to say yes at the top of the funnel for this free thing, and then I'm going to move you through to something maybe lower ticket, and then I'm going to move you to like a bigger program. I'm going to use content marketing to build that trust and rapport, and then I'm going to ask you to engage in a behavior, right? And so as soon as people start making some of those connections, one, it doesn't feel as sleazy because you're just trying to get people to commit to actions that bring them closer to their values. Like, how can I help you if you join this program, or join a cohort for studying, right? How do I now leverage that science differently? And it makes people feel a lot more confident marketing, because now they understand, like, we all have buyer behavior. So it's just knowing that it exists and putting some of those terms we're so comfortable with onto some of these marketing ideas or strategies.
It's so true. Like, you know, my sister and I talk about this. My sister's background is in psych and actually psychology and Spanish. So not really, but I mean, she's just like followed her entire like corporate career up marketing, 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 whatever. And now she finally left and is like feeling free, like consulting on her own. Right now, that they really listen to you when you're a consultant as opposed to working in the company somehow. Um, but we're talking about the exact same thing, like literally, right? They call it friction, we call it response effort. Ultimately, like building any brand or any presence, you are doing marketing. Like that's exactly what you're doing, Like, and sometimes, like I literally will be like, "Wow, our sales are down in the company." I'll take a look like at our social or like what's being sent out, and I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Somewhere we got off track here as to like what we started doing." Right? I'll be like, "It just
Mhm.
seems like we're posting like this sales happening this day, this deal, this course is starting here, blah blah blah," and I'm like, and I'll take a look, and then I'll, like, go back further and be like, "We actually," and you could actually, like, look at the data. We actually do better
Yeah.
when we have, like, a funny way to remember something, right?
Mhm.
Or, like, me teaching, like, some real life example that happened to me with behavior as opposed to being like, "Class starts tomorrow," right? Because now
Mhm.
people are like, they're like, "Whoa, that helped me. I
Yeah.
feel like I connect to this." Like, I have now paired, right? We're using pairing. I
Mhm.
connect to this. My MO is there, like, realizing the idea of, like, so instead of, like, actually going out there and being like, "We are selling this for this price," right? It's like, you've paired with them, they're like, "I get her, she's funny, like, I understand it." Now you've built their MO because 'cause they're like, "Holy shit, I didn't realize I understood that so wrong until that was explained,"
Yeah.
right? Then you could be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, we're gonna have this free class on that," right? Now you have, you could go to, like, basic, like, psych principles, which I think would be, like, foot and door, if I remember from Psych
Mhm.
101. I don't remember
Yeah, and then
exactly.
they're just contacting that
Yes,
reinforcement, right? And
exactly.
so you're just building it up to bigger, more challenging actions, and we skip that. And it's funny, like, it's the same way that we do, like, performance management in OBM, like, we forget that we're behavior analysts and we don't apply any of the concepts to organizational performance. It's the same in marketing. Like, it's like all of a sudden, here's the service I provide, and we do ABA therapy. It's like, that's information, but that's not establishing an MO. It's not helping anybody move down the path toward action or toward desired behavior. And so if people just translate that more, I feel like they can craft whatever job they want in behavior analysis. Like, I really believe that, especially online, because it is just a translation of the science that you already know.
Whoa, I feel like my next move after I get off, this is I wanna go to ChatGPT and be like, "Write me, like, a basic," um that anytime we're, like, having a meeting about our marketing, I wanna make sure it'd be like, "What's the MO here? What's the behavior we
Yeah,
wanna increase?"
that's
Because, like, I
exactly
kinda,
how
like,
we.
sometimes you just, like, forget, right? Because as a team or, like, maybe, like, I'm not directly over it or, like, you kinda just like, "Okay, we need to get this message out there." So, like, you wanna, like, complete something and then but, like, just to do that is, like, so pragmatic,
Mhm.
which is,
It
like,
really
one of the
is. Yeah.
attitudes that we live by, but, like, you kinda just, like, forget when you're, like, up in the.
100%. It's just a drift. Yeah, I think we just drift, and it does require, like, constant prompting and reminders, but that's part of the framework that we teach in some of these CEUs on marketing is write a program. Like, you have an SD, like, what do you want people to actually do, and how are you signaling reinforcement to them? What is the response? Like, how are you going to reinforce it immediately? If it's someone new, how are you going to kind of phase that out as you move into, like, email marketing or more, like, advanced levels of marketing? But it is, yeah, it's a program. It's a program that you just have to think through all the components to make sure, yeah, that you thought through them, because it isn't always natural for us to constantly be thinking that way. But if we do, like, I feel like it's so systematic and practical and effective that more people would be
You just
successful.
named, like, 3 of the dimensions and the attitudes that the pragmatic, the system like,
Yeah.
the systematic, the effective. I love it. That's like but by the way, anyone studying, we have a lot of people studying listening to this. That's exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about, like, these are the attitudes and the dimensions that we lead with and thinking about anything that we're doing, whether it's and I think no matter what you're doing, whether you're trying to study for the test, because the test is, by the way, not only on autism and behaviors regarding, like, SIB, it's about all of this. Like, if you're able to apply these principles across business, life, parenting, dating, like, you get it. Then you get it. You're generalizing and you can to me, sometimes I feel like understanding behavior really is like a superpower. You're like, "Well, you could literally do anything then."
Really, yeah, I feel the same. Especially now as I've met more BCBAs who are like, I feel stuck and I don't think I can do this clinical thing. Honestly, I see this on Facebook groups of, like, first year BCBAs, and I'm like, you've just begun. And so if you can start thinking about where you want to end up, you can start shaping and developing skills to end up there, because I do think most things revolve around behavior, right? And so we just need to learn how to translate it.
Mm, totally.
It's behavior bitches.
Are you a BCBA now and you are sad because you hate your job? Are you thinking, "I worked so effing hard and here I am dreading Monday?" Well, you're not the only one. We get that message all the time, and we decided to do something about it. Welcome our newest baby, Pair ABA by Study Notes ABA. What is this? Well, we pair you with jobs that you actually don't hate. Imagine that. Imagine going to work on Monday and being excited about it. Imagine working somewhere where you're appreciated, you're paid well, they're doing ethical practice, and you love what you do. Well, that's not impossible because we have formed Pair ABA, where we talk to clinics that we would actually want to work at. We're not going to send you anywhere. We are assessing these clinics to see, are they doing the good work? Are they not telling you one thing and then having you do another thing once you sign on? If you're concerned that you're not happy or you're feeling unsettled where you are, don't settle. Don't settle in relationships. Don't settle in work. Realize your value. Let us help you find a job where you are happy. All you need to do is head on over to pairaba.com. The response effort is low. Fill out the form so we can help you find job options near you. If you're a clinic and you think you're good enough for us to place at, also head over to pairaba.com. And we will see, are you good enough for our badass BCBAs who we protect? Go check it out, pairaba.com. Love you, mean it. I want to talk just before we end this, I want to talk about the ABA Reimagine conference.
Yeah.
Did you put that together?
Yeah.
That's what I think. That was all you. I actually did attend online. And what I want to know what your purpose of it was, like what your thought process and how it turned out.
Yeah, it was great. We had about 500 people attend. It was a lot of BCBAs, again, just I think interested in seeing the application of behavior analysis in all these different, just different fields. We had fitness, we had marketing, we had publishing. I mean, just anything you could think of, people were teaching about. And so I think it was just a neat way for people to be exposed because, again, we're in our autism bubble, and that's not bad. And I don't ever want anyone to think that I'm advocating for BCBAs to flee like the autism space. I just want them to know behavior is really powerful and our science is really powerful, and it can be applied elsewhere if you have interests and want to engage. And so, yeah, we did 3 tracks: frontiers, personal, and autism.
Yeah.
And the autism one focused on those innovations in the field, but those other tracks focused on different applications of the science. And I think people really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I'll do it again next year. And so excited.
I definitely
Yeah,
want to
for
talk to you
different.
about that because we've spoken about like different conference things. But I took which one? I took a really interesting one. I took one with, was it Christina?
So social media,
Yeah, there was that. And then
tech.
there was another one about someone who like I think it was she had she was talking about like yeah, like about tech and like she had like
There's
sold a business. What's her name?
Emily.
Yeah, she was like
Yeah, she works for Motivity
yeah,
now,
she was
but
like a
she kind of
badass.
yeah, it was awesome.
I like my
And
page
that's
is
like
like filled.
and people think tech and they're like, wow, there couldn't be something further off from behavior analysis, but it's not that far off,
No,
which is why I
I
think that was
literally
a
am like
cool.
one job that like BCBA should be doing, which by the way, no one I don't know when this episode comes out where our website will be at. But that is like the most behavioral thing ever. I mean, our website right now, as this podcast is being recorded, but I just want to say we are in advance, so maybe it's fixed by then, is like that is a perfect job for someone who understands human behavior, like UX and UI, like user experience, user interface.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
click this button, and then it's gonna wanna make you add that, and if that button's located there, like, it's so behavior, like,
Yes,
every part of it,
like
like
the salience of like the the color, the button, like all of those things. I just did a CEU on instructional design, and it's exactly that. It's behavior
I
applied
need you to send it
for
to me, I
learning.
wanna take it. Yeah, that
I will, yeah, yeah.
that to me, like, it's like, "Wait, the button is so light, I could barely see it," or, "Wow, this is definitely gonna push anyone not to take the bigger bundle." Like, just thinking of all those things, I mean,
Yeah.
think about yourself anyone, just by the way, listening to this, if you're like, "I don't know that I could use this outside of autism," think of yourself going to pay at TJ Maxx or Marshalls, okay? And I think Old Navy now too, I haven't been in a minute. But, like, you are stuck in these, like, aisles that are, like you been to any of these recently? Do you have these in Utah?
Yes.
Are you even a person if you have not stepped into a martial okay. Like, everything they stack on either side of you, like, while you're stuck waiting to pay. Like, the likelihood
Mhm.
of you buying something on the way out is so high, those positional stimulus prompts, and it's
Yes,
like, who doesn't need a candle? Who doesn't need another, like, notepad? Who doesn't need oh, a
exactly.
gift bag? Of course I do. Oh, and actually, why not get a nail polish too?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, all of that is so behavioral and thought about, and I think just
Intentional.
realizing
Yeah.
just the idea of being able to see everything through that behavioral lens, you could take it anywhere, and I think it's so cool that you're
Mhm.
doing that. I
Yeah. Well, and like the only last thing I'll say about it too is I think again people overthink, well, but how? Like what's the bridge? I think the bridge is applying it in a low risk, easy way. So you start getting results, compiling those results, and then you can leverage that to seek other opportunities. Like if you tell an ABA company you reduce turnover by X%, they'll hire you and they will pay you a lot of money to solve that problem for them because it's costing them a lot of money. And so how can you start engaging in projects and like different experiments, just applying the science? You don't need permission or a degree or an extra certificate. This is about the application in simple, easy ways that are low risk and ethical, but that give you that experience. And that sells more than a degree or, whatever. I
a
don't know.
thou
I haven't
yeah, a
asked anyone with a
problem
degree
solving,
in years.
1,000%. And also, by the way, anyone listening, again, I always just wanna say, like, it's not like we're pushing like, of course, what we're doing in autism is so valuable, and if
Yeah.
you are like, I mean, we know it's effective, we know it makes changes when good ABA is done, it's not that. It doesn't be that you have to be like, "Okay, now I need to go look for a company in Silicon Valley." Like, start with where you are. You're working at an ABA clinic, you're inside there, you could see where the problems are. You see that
Mhm.
there's always a lack of RBTs showing up. You see that, like, there's a gap in scheduling. You see that no one's incentivized to come to work. You see like, start with those problems and be like, "I'm gonna fix this." Right?
They're endless. Yeah, that's the OBM practitioner program I do. It's all BCBAs, and they're all running simple, behavior-driven, high-impact projects in their organization, and that's how you create change, and those results then turn into other opportunities if you want them, right? To your point, stay where you are too, and, like, craft a job that you actually enjoy by using
Right,
behavior
but I
analysis.
think that people obsessed with the idea of, like, but, like, what job am I gonna type in? And one thing you said is, like, kinda, like, look
Right.
at your specific problem you solve, right? If it's people things, and you might be, like, a customer success or, like, what I don't know the different names on the top of my head. But, by
Mhm.
the way, in that CEU that I took with Emily, you said?
Yeah,
She was,
Emily.
like,
Mhm.
saying, like, the different names you might type in for these,
Yeah, that's a question I get every single day, though. I'm not even kidding. At least once a day, someone emails me or DMs me, how do I get a job in XYZ? And it's important, but it's also about showing what you can create in terms of results and selling that piece
right.
to
So
whatever
do it
company.
I'm saying, like, I think do it in the ABA clinic you work at, right?
Yes.
Likely wherever you work. I mean, maybe to not the best place, but, like, let's say you have, like maybe where you work, they have private equity guys, right? I'm just saying, for better or for worse. And you solve this problem for them. These guys were ready to go hire someone to consult and pay whatever it is, right? You did it. They now see what you've done. You never know. Maybe they're like, "You know what? We run a lot of private equity with dialysis clinics. We want you to come help us figure out how to increase our nursing retention," right?
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
never know. That's my thing.
That's how it bleeds into marketing too, right? And then you leverage the science to help you position like whatever it is that you want to do going forward to whoever it is you're selling it to. But it's all behavior analysis.
It's all behavior analysis, right? Behavior analysis can save the world. We have a sticker here that says that. It's true. Like, if you're utilizing right. And my one last tip I would say is just for anyone, and I'm tell me your thoughts on this, is about the way you disseminate it. Like, remember that when you're going in to solve these problems, they're not paying you to use the big words, right? You understand them. But when you go in and you're like, technically, we're just going to put people on a DRL to,
Mhm.
lower the behaviors. So, because we want them on a high P, low P to eliminate any abolishing operate. They're like, what? Right? Just tell them,
Yeah.
like, yo, listen, I got more customers in the door because I put this billboard right here, right at this doctor's
Mhm.
office. They're like, "Great."
They don't care. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's why, like, the OBM program, I think one of the challenges for me was I didn't even wanna use the term OBM because it starts eliciting some of those questions and, like, the anxiety about how do I get a job and, like, how do I work in this space? I just wanted people to jump in and learn how to apply it to organizations in a way that had an impact without worrying so much about the interlocking behavioral contingencies and all of these terms that nobody cares about. And especially in business, I've made companies hundreds of thousands of dollars with positive reinforcement. Like, I don't need to teach them anything beyond here is a schedule and a system that you can implement across your organization to increase reinforcement, track and measure those results, right? It doesn't have to be complicated, and we make it more complicated than it needs to be, for sure.
It's so true, and you don't even have to call it positive reinforcement, you could literally say reward.
No, exactly. Yeah, don't call it positive reinforcement. It's exactly right.
That just reminded me, my sister, like I said, she, like now she consults, so she has different clients, and one of them at the time was Maggiano's. I think I'm allowed to say that, whatever, but anyways, so, like, she brought me to, like, go try the food at one of the restaurants, they're like, "Come try it, blah, 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 before you start working for us, come." And, like, they were, like, showing us everything, the new drink menu they have, this elevated chef from Italy and, like, their employees, and, you know, they really do better when, like, one of their options they offer is this option for take-home pasta. Like, take home for
Mm,
$10, you could, like, have family pasta on top of your meal that you have so you could, like, make lunch the next day or something, whatever it was, right? And they had this thing where the waiters, they have a contest going on of whoever's able to, like, offer this out this and, like am I saying it right? Perrier water? Is it Perrier? You know what I'm talking about? The green
yeah,
bottle?
the fancy water,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, those are the 2 things that, like, get you points, and whoever gets the most gets this prize, and so I'm like, "Oh, cool. What's the prize?" I wasn't there to consult. I was there just to, like, try the food with my sister. She's there to, like, help how they can market better, whatever. I'm
Yeah.
like, "What's the prize?" And they're like, "It's so exciting. If you win, you get Texas Rangers baseball tickets." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "That's the prize?"
Right.
I'm like,
Mm.
It's 103 degrees out in like, Dallas right now, like, that sounds fucking horrible. Like, I will go out of my way to make sure no one gets this pasta, you know?
It's
And
true,
I'm
it's true.
telling you, to me, it seemed, like, so obvious, like, no shit, like, why don't you give them an Amazon gift card? Or they have a choice of 5 things they could choose from or, like, you know?
Yeah,
But to
yeah,
them, I'm telling you, I gave this advice, and they were like, "Oh." And it was one of those things where you, like, you have that thing, you're like, "I feel bad." I mean, I wasn't billing for this, I wasn't doing anything. This was just, like to me, it was, like, the most
yeah.
common sense ever. But you realize, like, people aren't paying for your 10 seconds of advice, also to anyone doing it. They're paying for your years of studying to understand these things that it does seem so obvious to you.
Exactly. It's like the curse of knowledge is what we talk about both in online business and OBM. Like, you know so much that you think it's not valuable anymore. Like, it's just an idea that everyone knows and it feels silly to share it or sell it or charge for it, but not everyone knows, and that's what they're paying for. And so if you can, like, create that separation from what you know and what people don't know yet, that is valuable.
Okay, that's my last thing I had to say because that one I was just like, "Ugh, come
It's
on.
amazing.
No one likes space." Like, at least, like, it's not even like the Yankees or like, or like a team that, like, I'd at least wanna get a cute Instagram picture at. Like, this literally just sounds horrible.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you. I would not be
Amazing.
behaving
Well,
for that.
that's that's what I have for you today, and Melanie, it was so nice meeting you. I could see what the hype is, why
Oh,
Jordan
thanks.
loved you, and I think you met with Martha as
She's the
well.
best. She's great, yeah.
That repeatability increases my believability that you are that cool, and I agree now. We're having IOA here. So,
Thanks.
anyways, where can everyone find you, and what can you offer to anyone listening?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at the ABA Collective, and I'm also on LinkedIn, Mellanie Page, Mellanie with 2 L's, and I offer free monthly CEUs. I try to keep them actionable, engaging, and unique. So I try to focus on ABA outside of the box, and I have an OBM practitioner program and a digital clinician program teaching clinicians how to start online businesses. So lots of resources and education
I
if
didn't
you're
I didn't know about
interested.
these free CEUs. Do you send them out in a newsletter?
Yeah, I send them out every month. There's a free one. It's through Behavior Live.
Oh, incredible.
So
Martha, can you sign me up for that news? Is the newsletter on your website?
yeah, if you just go to CEUs and then free monthly CEUs, it will take you to a form and then you'll get the emails to sign up.
Incredible. Okay, I'm excited about this. Well, thank you so much, and I know that your CEUs are also on our website for anyone, looking.
Yes.
I really, really like you. I, wanna do cool things with you in the future. Feel
Yeah,
like you're the kind of person I wanna, have, a quarterly, online coffee with and just, pick your brain. I
I
love
would
it.
too. Yeah, I'd love that. Let's do it.
Incredible. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. You know where you can find us. You can find us on behaviorbitches.com. You can find us on Instagram at Behavior Bitches Podcast, YouTube. Everyone, we really are trying to grow this YouTube. Please make it worth it that I literally am doing my makeup, that we're doing these physical videos, which I hate doing my makeup, but I have to for these videos. So, everyone, head on over to YouTube, type in Behavior Bitches Podcast. It is separate from Study Notes ABA. Go follow both while you're at it. And subscribe. You could find us on Facebook, Behavior Bitches Podcast. And if you have any topic or any guest that we need to have on, send us a DM. Reach out to us on behaviorbitches.com. We love to hear it. And that's all we have for you today. So, as always, love you. Mean it.
It's behavior bitches.
Hey, Behavior Bitches besties. First of all, thank you so much for taking the time and stopping and watching all of our content on YouTube. We put a lot of effort into putting these podcasts into YouTube. That means I have to get dressed for the day, do my makeup, and actually show up when I used to come in looking completely homeless to record because no one could see my face. This being said, for us to keep doing this, we live for your subscription. So please do not forget to subscribe to our channel and like and leave us comments and love. Live for the love and keep tuning in, and you'll always know when our new episode drops. Love you. Mean it.